Happy Saturday, softball fans. Eric Ballnar here with James Harris for some softball SA competition brought to you proudly by Statewide Super. Well, we've got the reigning minor premiers, West Torrens. They're off to a 2-0 start, and they're looking like the team we thought they would be, going against the Seacombe Tigers. Tigers 1-2. They've been scrappy in most of their games so far. James, set us up for the matchup today.
West Torrens versus Seacombe is it's an interesting matchup because you've got young Araha Munro throwing for the Tigers and Maddie Scott throwing for the Eagles. So Maddie Scott's come off a career high 10 strikeouts over the weekend, and Araha Munro's been very good for the Tigers so far. They'll both be the key player for each other's team. It'll be the hitting lineup that will be the difference in the game. For mine, West Torrens just so strong throughout. We comment on it just about every week. But for Seacombe, this week they got a couple of big ins as well. Jenny Dunn, who was missing last week, as well as Cara Schultz.
Well, that'll be the big story for the Tigers. Last week they failed to get the ball in play, although you say fail in a positive way. I mean, the pitcher against them was absolutely outstanding in a perfect game, struck out every batter. So the Tigers surely are looking to build a bit of confidence back and start to get some people on the base paths again.
Yeah, for sure, and they've got the staff to do it now. A couple of the younger players have moved aside for the more experienced players. State Representative Cara Schultz has just returned from a tour of Japan with the Aussie Diamonds, so she'll be in form, so she'll be looking to get some hits. I spoke to her just before the game. She's a little nervous because it's going to be her first time playing in Australia for a number of weeks, and then like I mentioned earlier, Jenny Dunn will add some strength to the top of the batting order for the Tigers, a Stars representative. Flip side, though, they've got to be able to defend as well because West Torrens scored 10 runs on Wednesday night. We saw them against Sturt Falcons. They had a resounding 10-1 victory, and it was hits throughout the entire lineup.
And you take a look at this, so Kelsey Nucky, who pulled top 5 in the best and fairest voting last year in the competition, she's been one of the best players in the competition for the last few years, is batting 6th in this lineup. I mean, it just has no knock on Kelsey at all. It just shows you how deep this lineup is. Yeah,
Lana Kaisler's going to come into the lineup, and she just slots straight in. So
you have to.
Great experience and a great player to come in for West Torrens. So it should be a close matchup, but I think West Torrens will get over the line.
So it's going to be a close one. I mean, you can look at the strengths of Maddie Scott, great pitcher on the mound. She led all locals in ERA last year, and she's cut down on those walks, and she's striking them out, so she's doing well. But what do the Tigers need to do to pull the upset today?
They've got to be good in the defense because they're going to get plenty of action, and they've got to be good in the batter's box as well.
So they just got to be good. Well, we'll take a break from here, and we'll see you very shortly on the other side with the first pitch of the game.
Great pass. What a catch!
My goodness.
What an amazing catch from Vicky McFarlane.
Highlight reel. Never say yes to the jest. That was fantastic. Sarah Tonkin making a push for home. Mrs. 400 herself. 13 strikeouts for Gabby Snyder in one of the best pitching performances we've seen this season. What a fantastic grab by Emma Burridge. She climbs the ladder and breaks it down. Atkins ground this up the middle. That's going to score a run. Bruin score 2. Deep to left field. This is back, and this one is gone. It's magic from Madeline. Well, hello and greetings once again. We're live by the side here, taking a look at the West Torrens Eagles lining up on the side. Eric Ballnar joined by James Harris, and we're proud to bring in a debut on the Statewide Super Special Comments, and she's got to be one of the best that there can be. We've got what's she done? She's been okay in the local competition. She's been pretty good in the NCAA ranks. Played for the Stars, did you know? And also on the Aussie Spirit, as it happens. Please welcome Steph Trzynski. Steph, thanks for joining us, and welcome back to Adelaide.
Thank you very much for having me. It's good to be back.
Yeah, we're glad to see you as well, too. So, Steph, big matchup today between your team that you're on this year, the West Torrens Eagles. They're 2-0 so far. How much have you kept in touch with the team so far, and how much have you followed along?
I've tried to follow both the games, but the second game was actually while I was on my flight. I came back on Wednesday night, and right as I landed, they were in the 7th inning. So couldn't watch that one, but I watched the replay.
Off to a pretty good start, and Steph hurt right now, but James, once Steph gets back in the lineup, this team that we've already talked about at length, which is already loaded with the
with local talent, which is the best part about it all. Doing great as you see the 300-game woman run to the field in Jackie Beal out to left field playing her 300th club game. James, what does Jackie Beal bring to the table?
Hey, here we go. Jackie's in the flex role today. She's going to be playing in left field. She's quick in the field. She's good when she's batting. She can bat left or right. And she's a great utility for the Eagles. Steph Trzynski, special guest. This is fantastic for us. She's just returned from the Netherlands playing with DSS in the Golden League under world famous coach Norman Amos, and also in our off season in the Northern Hemisphere season, she played for the Aussie Spirit in the NPF, the National Pro Fast Pitch League, and played probably about 20 odd games over there, Steph.
I have no idea. Lots. We
games.
played every day, so.
What was that experience like for you? That would have been jam-packed softball in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, and like I played college softball, so I thought I probably had some sort of idea going in, and I definitely had some sort of grips on what it was going to be like, but it was far and above anything that I could have expected. Like, you just get up day after day after day, and you just keep playing and you keep playing, and like you have to be able to brush everything off because the next day you got another game. It just keeps going.
So Steph Trzynski, one of Australia's best pitchers. We're looking at one of a rising star in the local competition, and Maddie Scott on the mound right now. She is the starter. She's throwing to Carly Allen. Maddie Scott last year led all local pitchers in ERA, and she is coming off a career high in strikeouts in 10. So James, what have you liked about Maddie's game sort of developing that we've seen in the last couple of years?
She's just stepped it up another notch. I mean, we didn't expect to see her throw every game last year, but she did. We didn't expect her to have a 1.1 or whatever it was ERA, but she did. And this year she's found another level, and we all sort of thought in the off season after Steph was signed with West Torrens that she'd just be the backup, but she's in her own right. She's one of the better pitchers in the comp.
So Jenny Dunn will lead it off for the Seacombe Tigers. That's a big in from last week. She's one of the best leadoff hitters in the competition, and she swings on the first pitch, goes to Sophie Hoyle, guns it across to first, and Sophie Hoyle making the start at shortstop makes a heck of a play. That middle infield of Sophie Hoyle and Jordan Lambert is just deadly, and that's how they line up. Hoyle at short, Lambert at second, Kaesler at third, and Nucky at first. Is it a better four in the competition than that?
Bit of a different look in the lineup to the Eagles. We're used to seeing Jordan Lambert at shortstop. She's been in the Team of the Year at shortstop for the last 2 or 3 seasons. But she does play second base for the Stars and for the Aussie Spirit.
Sasha Mutz up to bat, the second baseman for the Seacombe Tigers. That is a deadly infield. Jackie Beal at left, Alicia Marchink at center, and Faith Picard at right. Carly Allen, the catcher. A very well-rounded defensive teams. They can swing and they can put the ball in play against Maddie Scott, but it doesn't really do much good if they're making the outs behind them. And statewide super special comment, Steph Trzynski, as a pitcher, when you have just a defense rolling behind you, does that spread to you as well too?
Oh, it makes such a difference being able to have a team like this behind me. I'm super excited to see what we can do this year, and with Maddie as well. I mean, I'm excited to have another pitcher. In my eyes, I don't see Maddie as my backup. I see me and Maddie able to work together and have a relationship where we can feed off each other and work with each other. But having the defense, it's going to be incredible. I'm so excited.
And as you say that, Maddie strikes out Sasha Mutz, so she's got her first strikeout of the day. Becky Havis up to bat. She's come through the Dragons program, James.
Yeah, she also travelled to Singapore with the Little League International Tour that the Dragons went on earlier in the year. So out of Gawler districts as well, so from the Kangas Softball Club. So g'day to all our viewers out in the north.
So Maddie Scott, 2 quick outs to start the game. Continues a trend here for Seacombe, who did not get a base runner on their last time out. So they'll be looking to break that drought here and get someone on and get something rolling. When you're going through a bit of an offensive rut, though, that's got to be hard. As that's hitting play, that's pretty hard. Jordan Lambert scoops that up, throws to first. Nucky dives. And she is called safe a little bit off the bag. That was a heck of a play to grab that from Jordan Lambert, though.
Yeah, she had to break to her right. We'll see it in the replay. And take the ball up the middle. As we see Havers take out of the batter's box there. And Nucky just couldn't stay hold on to that base. the throw just took her off of it at the last moment.
Couple gamers in the middle of the infield, though. Nucky tries to tag out Becky Havis as she slides back into first. But hey, the Tigers have a base runner, and I don't think that you can sleep on the Tigers at all. They've played close in all of their games except for their last one, but even then, that doesn't tell the whole story. Arrow Munro had a no-hitter going into the 4th inning as well. It was a close game until it wasn't, when they put up about 5 or 6 runs late in the game to sort of really blow away. So it wasn't totally over until it really was.
Yeah, Munro's going to get more experience as she plays more games throughout the season, and you know, no discredit to her. I mean, she threw a heck of a game the first half of the game, and then when Port Adelaide were just rolling on the back of that pitching performance from Sutherland Finch, she just gave up a couple of runs later in the game, and then it blew out in the end.
Well, it would have helped last week to have people like Jenny Dunn and this batter up to bat, Kara Schultz, in the lineup, returning back from Japan. So she slots right in the middle of the lineup. That's a big in for another young rising talent here in South Australia.
Another one of our young stars just taking a game abroad. She toured Japan with the Australian Diamonds softball tour with a number of other South Australians and Australian players from around the country.
Is this one a bit outside? Carly Allen zips it down towards first, so we have a full count for Kara Schultz. So she can barrel this and get it into one of the danger areas in the outfield. We'll see how good of a runner Becky Havis is pretty quickly.
Yeah, she'll go on the pitch here with 2 out. Expect to see a big jump.
And this one up high, but a walk given up by Maddie Scott. So runners on first and second, so the pitcher, Aroa Munro, can help her own cause here and try to give her some run support herself.
Yeah, she's been pretty good actually so far this season. She's been hitting in the 9th spot for the Tigers in their first 3 games, but just contributing with the bat, except of course the last game last Saturday.
So statewide super special comments, Steph Trzynski. When you're 2 outs, runner on first and second, you're batting, you're going against the 5th hitter in the lineup here. Does your approach change at all in this sort of situation?
I mean, it doesn't really change, but I was just thinking about how impressed I am with how far Maddie has come in terms of her discipline in the circle. Because, I mean, if you look at this inning, first 2 outs, 2 quick outs, super, super important. You give up a base hit to your 3-hitter, and then you have Kara Schultz and one of their best hitters on the team coming up, and it's really not that big of a deal to give her a walk. Like, she's, in my eyes, she's still doing fine, and Araha is still very up and coming, still a great hitter, but someone a little younger who maybe Maddie's feeling a little more confident with. So, I mean, giving up that walk just now, I think, honestly shows that Maddie can see when it's important to throw.
And that's hit hard right back to Maddie Scott. She's just going to throw it right to third, get the force out, and that's going to end the inning. So she throws it over to third, gets the force out, unconventional on that one, but it's an out nonetheless, and she gets her out of there, and well fielded by Maddie Scott. So a 1-5 to end the inning, which is not something you see very much, but that'll do it for the Seacombe Tigers. They get a couple aboard, they can build on that, but we flip it over to a pretty deadly lineup as we take a look at the replay here.
Yeah, we can see the replay. She has to go to her left, so she was going to the first base side anyway, but she just made that decision to play the advance runner for some reason, but they still made the out, so no real damage at all.
And let's take a look at the West Torrens lineup, and Jordan Lambert leads it off, Faith Picard at second, and then this is where it gets even scarier if the first 2 weren't okay. Former best and fairest, Milana Kaesler. Sophie Hoyle, Stars player, batting 4th, comes over from Glen Elgin, slots right in the middle of the lineup, not bad. Carly Allen at catcher at 5. Kelsey Nucky, someone who was top 5 in the best and fairest votings last year, batting 6th in the lineup. Maddie Scott at 7. Are you kidding me? Alicia Marchink at 8 and Brody Borovnik at 9. Defensively, Ebony McLean, Kara Schultz, Sasha Mutz, and Becky Havis fill out the infield, going from left to right. The pitcher is Arrow Munro, throwing to Peyton Daniels. In the outfield, Jackie Dunn in left field. That's a huge in defensively with Courtney Munro at center and Amy Goodman at right field. So it'll be an interesting battle here. And if you're a pitcher going against it, you must be happy that you're just don't have to face this West Torrens lineup.
Yeah, something like that.
So when you're going against a lineup that is top to bottom, just tough, how do you go about that? Does it wear on you? Is it true what they say about pitchers as it gets later in the game, those good lineup hitters just wear on you a little bit?
I think sometimes when you're facing a lineup that is just through and through that tough, sometimes it can be better as a pitcher because you aren't going to know that you have to be on every single pitch. There's no hitter in this lineup that you can think about laying off or anything. And sometimes when that happens to a pitcher in a lineup, it's hard to switch back on, and you really can't afford to switch off on anyone. But I think for some people, it's almost better to continuously be able to throw your best stuff all the time.
Yeah, an interesting way to look at it, but here's another young pitcher on the mound, Arrow Munro. She has been good this year. She's a strikeout pitcher. She's been able to get people out in sticky situations, which is always a good sign. And she'll have her hands full today, but it'll be a good test for the youngster on the mound for the Tigers.
Yeah, it's not only a young pitcher, but it's a young infield. Ebony McLean's the oldest at 21 years of age, over a third, and every other 22. Every other player is a teenager, and look for Andrew Scott, coach of the Eagles, to expose that young, inexperienced lineup.
So I just put the ball in play and see what happens. You saw that last week with 3 unearned runs for Port Adelaide to get their first 3. Just some errors and some walks were deadly for the Tigers. And here's a hit, hard hit over towards center field, and Munro backtracks but couldn't quite grab it. So Jordan Lambert at leadoff. She's going to be pushing for 3, and she's going to slide right in there with a triple.
One bounce into the center field fence. She smashed that one, and she's led off the game just as she did on Wednesday night with an extra base hit. This time, though, over to third base.
Jordan Lambert has now opened the game with a hit in every single one of her games this season. She had a double in the opener and then 2 triples. So if you want production out of your leadoff spot, that's probably a good way to go about it.
Probably the best in the competition. I'm going to go with that anyway, and Araha Munro will be looking to get straight back in against Faith Picard.
Faith Picard playing right field, and she's batting second and already has someone that she can try to drive in. The Eagles sitting second on the table at 2-0 in this very early season. Port Adelaide, same record. They just haven't allowed any runs, so they get the tiebreaker. That'll be a fun showdown when that happens. But the Tigers versus West Torrens is what it is now. And we talked about this pregame. I'm tipping the Tigers to keep this one close. I think they're going to be a scrappy team in this one.
As long as they can defend really well, because you know that the Eagles are going to get a lot of ball into play. They're so quick around the bases as well, so they've got to be right on their game. Munro, the key here with young catcher as well, Peyton Daniels. They call a good game. They can get the batters chasing a bad pitch or two, then they might get a couple of cheap outs each inning.
Jess Maslin will slot in the lineup somewhere when she comes after work, I'm guessing. And a pitch just a little bit high, so it's a 2-2 count. Got to be careful there. Jordan is not afraid to go on those pass balls. So a 2-2 count. A strikeout would come in handy here with Kaesler, Hoyle, Allen, and Nucky due up.
Well, Munro has a high strikeout count so far this season. The 3 games that she's pitched, she's been around about 8 to 10 per game. So she's doing pretty well for a young pitcher.
And almost had Faith right there. She just gets a bit of barrel on there. So I believe it's a full count right now with Faith Picard in there and Lana Kaesler warming up in the batter's box. A nice little balance, though, looking through this lineup of some savvy vets and experience and some of the best young players here. And Faith is one of the younger ones on the team. Same with Maddie Scott, but Lana Kaesler, a veteran, and Stars regular as well. That drops in, and that is a walk for Faith Picard, maybe. Yep, it is.
She just had to double check there as well. Steph, I want to ask you what you know of Araha and if you've been able to follow her. I know you've been away playing the last 4 or 5 seasons, but you know, she definitely has come through the ranks over the last couple of years. Is that something that you keep notice of, you take note of, the young pitchers coming through?
Yeah, definitely. As you said, I've been gone for more or less the last 5 years, but I remember before I left hearing all these rumors about this little 10 or 11-year-old, or however old she was at the time, this little young gun from Seacombe, and I remember going out, and I think I was coaching an under-13 team at the time, and this little 10-year-old is up pitching against us, and we're like, wow, what's going on here? Like, we've got our hands full with this little 10-year-old, and I can definitely see her grow up, mature. She's actually gone to the same high school as me as well, so I've seen her a little bit playing in some high school games, but I have definitely, it's been nice to go away and come back and go away and come back and be able to see like the growth each time I come back, because at this age you improve and you grow at such a great rate. So yeah, definitely she's been one I've been keeping an eye on for a while.
And new challenges every week for her, I'm guessing too. Last week she got to watch one of the best pitching performances you'll see, and this week she gets to go against one of the best lineups in the competition. And as you were talking there, Faith Picard got called back from first, and she rips it up the middle. So she's going to drive in the first run of the ball game. It wasn't a walk, but she's going to get to first anyways, but it's going to score a run, so it works out pretty well with a single to center for Faith Picard. They put the ball in play right back up the middle both times. So we have the first run of the game, runner on first, and the middle of the lineup coming up for the Eagles.
Yeah, she didn't have it all her own way. Munro really made her work. She kept fouling him off until she got the pitch that she liked, drove it straight up the middle. Lambert scores every day.
Lana Kaesler swings at the first pitch. We've seen that with all three batters so far, swinging first pitch.
Yeah, good aggressive tactics from Coach Scott, no doubt. The young pitcher Munro's obviously trying to get ahead of the count early, as most pitchers like to do, so why not be aggressive?
Well, I think also with a pitcher that has a high strikeout count, you want to get ahead early. You don't want to get behind, because then you'll get caught looking, or you're a swing or something. So I think definitely swinging early is a good tactic here.
And they're coached by one of the best hitters, I know it was baseball, in South Australian diamond sports history, in Andrew Scott. He was the first Baseball Australia Hall of Famer, and it was because of he owns in, for the Adelaide Giants days, batting average, on-base percentage, hits, home runs, RBIs, every offensive category for them. So a great hitter with the approach at the plate, so he's a good guy to learn from, I'm sure. And a strikeout right there for Erla Munro as Faith Picard slides into second. So she strikes out one of the best hitters in the competition. She doesn't really shy down, does she?
Great pitch to catch the outside edge. So you saw Kaesler swing at the first two pitches. They were just out of her wheelhouse. Obviously both hit and runs because Picard was taking off on the pitch. She took off on that last one as well to basically stand up on second with a stolen base. But good pitching from Munro. She got the first out of the inning for the Tigers.
And exactly what statewide Super Steph was talking about falling behind in counts. You're going to get caught on one just looking for versus a strikeout pitcher. So right to script. Sophie Hoyle made the move over from Glenelg, she's got off to a nice start. She slots into a lineup where she doesn't have to do as much on her own. She carried a lot of the offensive weight in Glenelg, and here she's just part of a very big puzzle and cog of good hitters. And she looks like she's had a lot of fun so far playing for the Eagles. She looks relaxed.
Yeah, I think she is.
Yeah, it's a bit of comfort zone helps as well. Like, she knows the players from her Stars days as well, so she's not unfamiliar with the team at all, and so she's just really fit in straight away.
And what makes Sophie Hoyle such a tough hitter to face?
Well, you know that she can hit the long ball, and if she can get a pitch that she likes, she can hit a line drive. And it's always going to be tough for any fielder to pick up because she hits with so much power.
So Sophie Hoyle settles in, 2-1 count. That is going to get her. You always grimace a little bit when you see that. It's going to put a runner on, though. So Sophie Hoyle hit by the pitch.
Steph, you're a teammate of Sophie Hoyle's over the last couple of years at Glenelg. When you were able to come back and play the occasional game, I bet you felt comfortable with her, not only in the field behind you, but also in the batting lineup.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's actually a bit of a long-standing joke between Sophie and I that I don't think I've ever pitched against her, because we've always been on the same team, and Sophie tells me she likes to keep it that way.
It'd be an interesting matchup, that's for sure, but yeah, teammates on Stars, teammates at club ball. It's good.
And I think like the last two clubs we've played for have always been together. She likes to follow me around, I say.
Yeah, so who made the move to West Torrens first?
I think it might have been Sophie, actually. Yeah, but yeah.
Package deal.
Exactly.
Well, it's a good combination to have in the Eagles side, that's for sure. Carly Allen might be your catcher a little later on in the season. She's up to bat, and she's got a runner on first and second, so a very key at-bat here for the Tigers. They got to keep it close. You can't let West Torrens get their noses out in front. That's what they've done. They've had those big innings. They had that 2 and 3-run inning in their first game. They're up 5-0 after 2. It was close with Sturt, and then they exploded open with, I think, what, 3 runs and then 4 runs in a couple back-to-back innings. So it's containing the big inning versus this West Torrens team, I think.
Yeah, Walkerville were able to do it well in their first game. Although they bled the runs early, they then shut down their lineup with some good pitching and great defense. So Seacombe need to be similar to what Walkerville were, and that was a tight unit, a good defense, and try and make the outs together rather than rely on just the pitching.
It was kind of funny. So earlier, I was having a chat with head coach Andrew Scott, and he was giving me the lineup, and I said, Kelsey Nucky at 6, really? He's like, yeah, but if she gets bases loaded, then look out. And as he's predicted in the first inning, he's set it up for Kelsey Nucky. He'll claim that too. He'll say that's all him. But yeah, he's got bases loaded for Kelsey Nucky, who has got off to a very good start so far this season. She's had a couple hits, I think, in each of her games she's played, for sure the last one. And she's got bases loaded by virtue of 3 walks here, so we'll see what Kelsey can do.
Drove in the first RBI of the game on Wednesday night as well in the first inning on an outside pitch. So far the Seacombe battery is setting up on the outside, and that was the one that she hit. So swing and a miss on that one.
Kelsey Nucky has been a member of the Stars team before, and she's out of trials right now as well too. Team of the year the last few years at first base, and she hits this hard. This is going over to right field. Is it going to find a gap? It will, so it's going to score 1 run, and they are going to send another one home, and Kelsey Nucky with a 2 RBI double to right field, and the Eagles are well and truly in flight.
Great shot from Kelsey. She's hit it into the center right gap, and it was the Seacombe outfielders that were looking at each other, really, who was going to get it. It was Munro in the end. She overrun it, which allowed the second run to score easily. And 2 runners still aboard, both in scoring position for Maddie Scott.
Maddie Scott still only 1 out as well, too, with Scott batting 7th in the lineup with Marchink and Borovnik still to come.
Hits so far have all been off pitches just slightly higher than what you would call a good strike down the middle, so just above the strike zone. So Munro probably needs to get that pitch down.
Leaving them up.
If the pitch is lower in the strike zone, the team's going to more than likely get more ground balls, which brings the infield into play now.
That's what Maddie does a lot too, doesn't she? Yep. She has it down low and off you go. Maddie Scott, another versatile player. We've seen her really only exclusively pitch in this competition the last couple years, but she can play in the middle of the infield, she can play outfield, and I think she wants to have a crack at the bat as well too.
Yeah, South Australian under-19 team, she's a middle infielder, and also in the Aussie under-19 squad as well as an infielder. So I'm sure all of her Aussie teammates see a different view of her.
And another walk puts the bases loaded for Alicia Marchink here. So Maddie Scott, she's off to university next year, going to Odessa, Texas to play. When you were, Steph, think back to what, 4 or 5 years ago, right before you went off to university, what were you expecting and what was the eventual reality, I guess? Because Maddie's sort of at that period right before you went, I guess.
Yeah, I think when I went to college, it was a little bit less common than it is now for the people in this kind of community. But I definitely wasn't expecting it to be as difficult, I suppose, as it was. But it was the most rewarding experience I think I've had in my life so far. But I think just being away from home and as a young, I had just turned 18, trying to establish myself. It was a lot harder mentally, I think, than I expected it to be.
So Munro ahead 0-2. With Marchink at the plate. We'll see if Munro can deliver a good pitch here to get herself out of a pickle. Just a bit outside. And what was the most challenging part as that 18-year-old when you left? You obviously hadn't lived away from home before, so were you living in a residence? Were you living in a share house? Well, how did that get all set up?
So I came in the spring, which was really difficult.
Oh, man. Not even in school season.
Oh, yeah. So American college, you start in the fall, so you start usually August. and then the school year finishes in about March, but I actually came in January. And so that was difficult. I came into a team that had already had the whole off-season together, that already had all their practices, they're already pretty close-knit, but the team at the time was pretty welcoming, and I feel like I slid right in.
And a big swing and a miss there, so Era Munro with her second strikeout of the game comes at a good time with the bases loaded, so Brody Borovnik comes to the plate. She's the 9th person to walk to the plate this inning, and there's already 3 runs on the board. It might be a little deflating if they score another couple from the Tigers' perspective, so time to buckle down. Big one for the Tigers here.
Yeah, and a couple of strikeouts early for Munro, but yeah, she'll be counting on the field to hopefully get this 3rd out of the inning and get them out of town so they can perhaps have another go with the sticks and try and put some runs on the board themselves. But gee, West Torrens have come out on fire. Steph, when you came into the team though at Cal, you'd had some success ground ball.
As this is grounded over towards third, throw across. They have to make this play, and they do. A big play from Ebony McLean zipping across to Becky Havis, so that is a 5-3 out. They do score 3 runs, still very manageable distance to get back into this game. That was crucial that they didn't make a mistake there.
Great play from Ebony McLean. She's moved across to her left-hand side. She's taken a good play. She got in a good throwing position and fired it across to Becky Havis at first for the 3rd out. Steph, I was just saying that you'd had a little bit of success before you got to Cal. Were they aware of your success with Aussie squads? You'd been to a Junior World Championship before you arrived?
I think for the most part, not quite. Some of the coaches kind of knew, but a lot of the girls that are playing in America aren't super aware of the potential to all the different international opportunities there are playing in places like Europe and Australia. So a lot of the girls really, other than what they've known in high school and what they grew up in, they didn't really know much about anything else.
So how many internationals were on your team?
My freshman year and my sophomore year, actually, there was another girl by the name of Britt Bonk who was from the Netherlands, but I think Britt was the first international player at my school, so I would have been the second. So.
And on your team was a woman named Katie Sutherland Finch, who now steps into the broadcast booth for James. Katie, first off, thanks for joining us. Well done on your perfect game last week, and welcome to South Australia. How's it been so far?
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been great. I mean, I know I feel like I've adjusted pretty well in the last 2 weeks, and it's nice to have a familiar face here. So it's been great.
So how did you get the call to come to South Australia? I'm guessing your former teammate and now bitter rival in the competition here, Steph Trzynski, had something to do with it.
I would say she is completely to blame. So Steph had tried to get me to do this last year, and I essentially refused and told her I was done with softball. And after a couple months of her bugging me and giving people my information without asking, I signed on to go play in Europe, and then I, thought if I'm going to do 1 season, might as well do 2. And we'd always joked about me coming to see her in Australia, and here I am.
So Ebony McLean leads off for the Tigers here, a Tigers team that you faced last week, struck them all out. They've got a couple on board here. This West Torrens lineup, though, that first inning, they put 3 across. Did that scare you at all, knowing that you got a heavy lineup to get through?
I think it's really exciting to come out and watch these teams battle. I think the West Torrens are very strong. We went 1 through 9, and I'm excited to get on the field and play them.
And you got a game a bit later on today, but Ebony McLean right now, it's a 1-2 count at the moment. She's a big in. She missed most of last season with an injury, so handy to have her back in the lineup. As we said, though, the most experienced infielder, just 22 years old for this Tigers. It's a young team. And so what do you girls do? I know it's obviously savvy vets of the competition, I guess now, university experience. In your clubs, is there certain commitments that you have to make to helping out the juniors at all, or develop what's going on in your respective clubs?
I'm coaching a 13 and under team, and I give pitching lessons, but I think it's more just about passing down the information. as we've played and being able to help the younger girls come up and develop and hopefully go off and have opportunities that we've had.
Yeah, that passing of knowledge is actually quite interesting to me. It's this big foul ball over to the left, and Steph, you came up as a product of the softball SA system. You go to the States, and then when you come back here, there are little things that you notice being like, oh, maybe we should be trying to do it this way that I've picked up from over there.
Yeah, so I mean, I only came back on Wednesday, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing a lot with the club, with West Torrens, and running some like little pitching clinics. I've actually helped out Maddie. Oh, there it is. I've been helping Maddie out a lot with her pitching, and I've seen some huge improvements, and I've definitely learned a lot of things along the way. I mean, everywhere you go, you can learn more things from everyone. Like, I learn things from Katie. I'm sure Katie learns things from me. Like, I like to keep an open mind, learn as much as you can from anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, depending on where you're from, is dependent on how you learn to pitch. So Steph and I both throw rise balls, but we do throw them differently. And it is a product of how she was taught, where she's from versus where I'm from.
So Maddie Scott just got Ebony McLean on her second strikeout of the game, so she's got a strikeout in each of her innings. Now Maddie Scott last year, as this is hit hard, towards third, that gets through Lana Kaesler, so we have Courtney Munro aboard with a single, so the Tigers might have something brewing here as we get towards the bottom of the lineup with Peyton Daniels coming up. That's a play we've seen Lana Kaesler make, but that's not an easy play to make at all.
No.
And a simultaneous no, I like that.
Yeah, and Lana has some of the best hands I've seen, so that was a tough play.
And Peyton Daniels steps in. So Maddie Scott, as I was saying before, she had about 4 strikeouts a game, and this year she's already up with, I think she had 6 or 7 strikeouts in her first game, 10 on the last game. In your development as a young pitcher for you guys, was there a moment where you were just, getting the balls in play, letting the defense do the work to, you started taking it on and getting the strikeout yourself? As Lana Kaesler dives over, gets the girl at second. That was a great play from Lana Kaesler. Bit of redemption for her, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think definitely, like, when I went to college, growing up here and playing in all of the competitions and even some of the Australian stuff, I was kind of used to being a big dominant pitcher, but once I got to college, I realized there's 8 other people on this field with me. I'm going to use every single one of them to try and get every single hitter out. It's not about having all the strikes. It's not about striking 18 batters out in a game. I mean, that's nice. But once I got to college, I really learned to use the field. And, like, you can throw rise balls. You don't need to strike them out. You can just pop them up. There's a lot of people out there that are trying to help you.
Well, I think also it's the maturity of a pitcher, recognizing once you get, us in the States and the level Steph and I are playing at, you can't strike every batter out. So even if you want to, it's not possible. And learning to use your defense, learning to have situational pitching, so you're not trying to get the big strikeouts, you're trying to get them to ground out to second base or ground into a double play. And it's learning to be smarter with your pitches and not overusing your arm. But that's the next level of pitching and being smarter and not working harder.
And Maddie Scott gets a big swinging strike there for her third strikeout of the game. And we sort of talked about that in the first inning with Maddie Scott, how she sort of pitched more conservatively against Cara Schultz, who you knew was a good batter, so she didn't have to go as aggressive to her, knowing that she can take her chances with someone she probably felt more comfortable with than the next batter. Just developing those smarts. So we're back to the top of the lineup. Jordan Lambert is going back up top. She had a triple on her first at-bat. So you're going to be, is this the first time you've watched West Torrens play a game, or have you come out and watched them before?
I've been watching.
The scouting report.
I've been watching. I think the more that you see batters, the more familiar you are with them, the better. But I will say, what Steph was saying about Maddie walking the batter in the first inning, I think that's just a sign of maturity on her part and recognizing where to take risks, where to go at them hard, and where maybe setting yourself up to have more success with the next batter.
So Steph, statewide super special comments, Steph, we should say there. Yeah, hello. I'm wondering though, when you first got to college and then left as a senior at Cal, what was the biggest difference in your game? What changed from you being over there?
I mean, softball is softball wherever you go, and I like to try and keep it pretty consistent. But I think, like, college softball is very, very, very stressful. Like, you've got so many things going on all the time. You've got schoolwork, you've got coaches, you've got a lot of stuff going on. And I think as soon as I was able to take a step back from that, I started to think, okay, it's just the game that I love. It's the same game, and I think I play a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more freer now, for sure. Yeah.
And I'm wondering too, I mean, we watched an elite performance that you threw last week at this time, but I mean, it's not like you just walk out there and throw pitches and they just swing and miss. There's a lot of work that goes in there to get to work on your your form, to work on that craft. I'm wondering, like, compared to some of the local Aussies here, Steph, did you really get an understanding, really, I guess, or did you always have that understanding of how hard it is to make that Aussie team, to how hard it is to be at the top of your game? It's not just talent, although that help goes a long way.
And I think I see a lot, I mean, myself included, a lot of pitchers will, like, when you're at that age, you improve so rapidly, and you're like, oh, this is so good, I can do this, I can keep going it, and all of a sudden you hit a roadblock, and you just can't get any better, you know? And really being able to push through that and continuing to improve is a lot. Like, it takes a lot of hard work. Like, you can bust your ass just to get 1% better, and you might not notice it out in the field, but you just got to keep pushing.
It's the culmination of it is that you hit that spot where your talent is maxed out, and then it
only
puts
gets
in
you so
the
far.
work. Yeah.
So Jordan Lambert up to bat right now. She had the triple, and this one just goes a bit outside. Another Aussie Spirit player, trying to break into a more dominant role on that team, but she was around with you, and that must have been fun going around with Jordan for those few months.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been playing with Jordan since I was about 12 or 13 years old or something, so being able to finally, be professional athletes with someone that I've grown up with was a pretty cool experience.
And what was that like? Speaking of cool experiences, last year the Aussie Spirit came here and played an exhibition series versus Denzo, and you got to play in front of your home crowd. Or this year, earlier in this year, January, but you got to play in front of your home crowd, home state, home field. What was that like for you?
That was pretty cool. I mean, that was really my first time ever playing with the Open Women's national team. I've been with the junior before, but and also after being away for 4 years, it was really the first game I was able to like showcase what I've done in the last 4 years and be home and play with the Australian team. So that was a pretty surreal experience.
And it was sort of a hot and lethargic day. It was like 42 degrees.
Yeah, it was very hot.
Anytime that one of the South Aussie girls was either on the mound and yourself or came up to the plate, I loved just seeing the crowd really get up and about as this is grounded towards McLean, and she throws it across the diamond. But we have safe at second, safe at first, so 2 runners aboard for Lana Kaesler, who struck out last time. She doesn't strike out twice very often, so this is going to spell trouble right here. So what is that like? I mean, it's not like Australia is a lower ranked country. They're 3rd or 4th in the world right now. What was that like, putting on your country's colors at the top level for that first time?
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I mean, it's something that, you grow up as a little kid wanting to be,
And this is hit hard over towards short, a force out at third, but she drops the ball. That's going to load the bases, and that's going to be bases loaded for Sophie Hoyle. An unfortunate play for the Tigers. They made the right play. Unfortunately, it comes down to execution sometimes.
What I just wanted to say, too, is I think one of my favorite things about this West Torrens lineup is none of them have their heads so big that they all want to hit home runs. They're just doing whatever they can to get on base. Like, Lana's just out there hitting the ball as hard as she can, and it's forcing the other team to make an error. Like, it wasn't on the fielding, but that ball was hit so hard it kind of scattered everyone a little bit, and Lana's just going to do whatever she can to get on base. Bases
loaded, no out, and you've got Sophie Hoyle, Carly Allen, and Kelsey Nucky due up. A little intimidating.
Yeah, and Sophie got hit last time too, so I think she's out for a bit of revenge.
Yeah, Sophie's not competitive, is she? A premiership winner in the women's footy side this year as well, too. She's tough. Sophie Hoyle, she swings at that, but Munro had a good pitch there. You got to watch her pitch last week. She had a no-hitter going into the 5th, and then you hit a home run off of her. But what do you like? What did you like about the youngster Errol Munro last week?
It's funny. Steph came over on Thursday, and I was telling her that I thought that this young pitcher did a really good job. I mean, she had 7 strikeouts against us, and she went out there and she's competing. Even when we were putting runs on the board early with some errors and a couple walks, but she really does go out there and compete.
Well, that was a heck of a game, though, that you had last week as we have bases loaded, no out. Big moment in this game. This is a good chance to blow it open here for the Eagles, and this is who they want at bat as Sophie Hoyle fouls this away. But have you ever had a game like that before? 18 strikeouts, 18 batters faced, and a 3-run home run.
Yeah, not like that. I've never had a game quite like that.
Yeah, we were talking about the zone a little bit, even in that post-game interview. And Steph, what is that like as for you too? I'm curious to see what's it like when you're in that zone, and just I've never been in one of those playing sport before, so what is that like?
Yeah, you're just trying to stay focused and not let anything from the outside interrupt what you're doing. You can't think too far ahead of anything other than just one pitch at a time.
And I think with that is also making sure that you don't become too hyper-focused. So it's the balance of not getting too fine when you're pitching. A lot of times pitchers will have a tendency to overthrow when they get excited, and it's keeping yourself at kind of a level state.
I think she's talking about herself here.
I think I'm talking about plenty of pitchers I know.
Well, a fine at bat here from Sophie Hoyle. It's been a 2-2 count for a while here. She just keeps chopping them foul. What's she doing here? Just looking for that pitch she wants?
Oh,
or
she's
just
trying to drive one. I mean, you can see right now the Seacombe outfielders are almost on the fence. They've got a lot of respect for Sophie.
Here's the pitch. And she swings at that one, and Sophie won't be happy about that, but well done to Munro. Bases loaded, a strikeout against one of the most dangerous hitters in the competition. So it remains a 3-0 game, and Carly Allen will come to the plate.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about Arha is that, I mean, she, like that first inning, she got hit around a little bit, but she's throwing all these strikeouts, so you know that she's got the stuff to be super successful, but she just needs a little bit more growth, I think, to know when to throw the right kind of pitches, because you can see that she's got them all.
Yeah, I don't think she's really pitching scared either. I don't know
she's
she's really
not.
fazed by this.
Like Sophie's out there swinging for the fence, and she comes out and strikes her out.
So last week you had that truly perfect game. You struck out everyone, and then it went viral. I think over 100,000 views, 1,000 shares. It's got a reach of something like 300,000 people on that just Facebook video alone there. You ever been in a viral video like that before?
No, and it's been insanity. I've had people reaching out from all over the place, and I think I was most excited about my family was able to see it. Because I've been playing abroad, they don't get to see a lot of my games, or at least not a decent hour, so it's nice they're able to see that in their own time and be able to follow along what's going on over here.
Yeah, and the coverage is so good too. I don't think we talk about that enough. Like the video coverage that we're getting is awesome. My time while I was in America, I was able to keep up to date with all the games. So.
That's a big shout out to Spacequake Sports for getting this done here, and the game's on Channel 44. And Statewide Super helping bring you this softball competition as well. So yeah, 1,000 shares. So surely there would be someone that you hadn't talked to or been in touch with for a while that would have shot you that message being like, what the hell?
Yeah, a lot of that, and it's been pretty crazy this last week. So I'm happy to be back at the field and be able to play the next game.
I mean, even I messaged her. I was like, okay, Katie, 18 strikeouts, but a home run? What the hell? That was me.
The exact wording was, 18 strikeouts doesn't impress me, but the home run...
Yeah, and you got all of that as well, too. There's been a couple home runs at this field. Maddie Cameron put one off the shed in center field the other night as well, too, versus West Torrens. So
that was her 400th game.
That was her 400th game. A big game for her. And she's the only person to have a hit off of you so far in this competition.
She's a great hitter. And when I said that the first day I showed up, I saw her in the box, and she was in there. She's aggressive. You could see that she was really seeing the ball. Definitely someone you have to bring your best stuff to.
And you got a big game tonight as well, too, at 6 o'clock. So you're just sort of hanging out at the field. And
yeah, I'm going to go take a nap after this.
I like that. Get prepped for the game.
Let's go can nap anyway.
And this is hit hard. This is going over to left field. This is back at the wall, and it's caught by Dunn. Throw into the infield. It's going to do enough just to score the run. So she got a good crack at it, Carly Allen. It's going to go down as a sac fly over towards left field, but it does score a run to make it 4-0. But hey, bases loaded, nobody out. Now there's 2 outs and only 1 run is scored. You take that as a big win if you can get Kelsey Nucky out here.
Yeah, for sure.
So how are you? Do you pitch differently when it's bases loaded?
I think you're a little bit more conservative. You might not be throwing drop balls all over the place. You have to be smarter with how you approach the hitter, and yeah, these are the situations you would like a miss hit, maybe more than a strikeout.
And this one just slips by, throw over to home, and stepping in easily there is Faith Picard. Another one comes in. That's 2 runs scored off of a pass ball. It's 6-0, and that's going to blow it open a little bit for the Tigers. They put 3 runs in there, but they've scored it by a sac fly and 2 runs off of a pass ball. So it's not like they're using the long ball to score the runs here. So probably a good sign of for the offense, but just a couple little mistakes from the Tigers once again costing them some runs, similar to last week as well.
But I also think it's a sign of a good team that you're able to capitalize on little mistakes and make big results out of it, because this is a game of 60 feet, so anytime you can capitalize, you're just putting your team in a better spot to win.
Yeah, and I was saying that before with West Torrens, like we have such a stacked lineup, but no one is out there trying to show anyone else up. Like, they're just doing what they can do to get on base, and you've seen that in this inning with, like, we scored all these runs with a sac fly and a pass ball.
Well, it's such a stacked lineup that, I mean, if you're not performing, there's a couple girls that are regular starters last year that are ready to step in there, and Emma Burridge and Alice Prokopek, who are very capable in their own. Emma Burridge had a 400 on base percentage last season, and she's on the bench. So it sort of shows how deep that this West Torrens team is. So it's going to be very exciting to watch, but great point, though, about being able to capitalize off those little things, and they can make the biggest difference as she issues another walk here. You look back to the grand final last year, West Torrens and Walkerville. It was a thrilling game. It went to extra innings, and it was one of those ones where just a tiny mistake, and we didn't know what could have happened the next pitch, ended up being a big difference in the end just by catching a foul ball in foul territory. And sometimes those little things can have that big impact, and you know, seems harmless at the time.
In big games, usually the little things that end up losing games, especially with a lineup that's as stacked as this one.
So you really have to be on when you're playing the West Torrens Eagles this year.
Absolutely. And I also think that as a pitcher, one of the things you learn is you walk. A walk usually equals a run at the highest level. You can look and see how many runs a team usually scores throughout a game, and it's almost equivalent to the amount of walks a pitcher is given up.
Wow, that's interesting insight there. So you got to really work on hitting that strike zone. But then again, if you're against a good hitter, what's the balance between giving them something that they can hit and getting them out?
Yeah. Well, I think it's reading your hitter then and trying to figure out what their weakness is. You know, there's purposeful strikes and there's purposeful balls, and not just throwing to throw.
Yeah, and you got to find that fine line between throwing your pitcher's best pitch and being cautious of your hitter's best, like where they can hit. Because if someone's up there saying they can hit curveballs, I'm still going to throw you a curveball, but you just got to...
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, it's like throwing a rise ball. People say rise balls are most likely to go out. Well, it's also most likely for hitters to swing and miss on. So you got to really take your chances, but not put it in the middle of the plate.
Yeah.
And Maddie Scott up to bat here, and that's what makes West Torrens lineup so special here too. Is you look at a player like Sophie Hoyle last year, who was most often the player that was sort of passed up as the automatic walk. They just said, yeah, you know what, we're not even going to take our chances with Sophie, just take the bag and we'll go with the next one. If you do that with Sophie Hoyle here, you got Carly Allen and Kelsey Nuckia to answer to. It's probably not something you can do. Well, you can, but have fun. Have fun. So Maddie Scott, full count, 2 out. Munro trying to get out of the inning with the 3 just on the board, and a swing and a miss. So Arrowa Munro with 4 strikeouts so far this game. Unfortunately, it is 6 runs for West Torrens, not Seacombe, as you see on the scoreboard there. So thank you very much for joining us, Katie. A big game later on today. Just before you go, what's your look on it, and how you feeling about it going against Glen Elk today?
I'm feeling good. I'm going to go take a nap, get some caffeine, and I'll see them on the field.
Well, good luck, and I'm sure we'll have another story to tell from the legendary already, Katie Sutherland-Finch.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us as we bring James Harris back into the broadcast booth. A very fascinating chat right there. I think we got maybe for another 3 outs or so, or the statewide super special comments from Steph Trzynski. It is a 6-0 ball game. James, West Torrens just keep grinding away right here and piling up those boards. They're taking advantage of mistakes. They're getting on base. But as we heard from Katie Sutherland-Finch, you can almost equate to the number of walks to the number of runs. You get on base and good things are going to happen in this sport.
West Torrens definitely capitalising on all their opportunities then. You know, Jordan Lambert could have been forced out. You know, the pass ball that scored 2, you know, it could have been a different story. But thanks so much to Katie Sutherland-Finch. She's been so generous with her time this entire week. She got press interviews, radio interviews, TV interviews on Channel 44. Of course, you can catch all the replays of the action from the home and the comfort of your couch on NITV, which is Channel 34 and SBS 144 on Foxtel, but on Sunday afternoons, but Channel 44 as well. So the SA Sports Show interviewed her during the week, but you can also catch the replays on Saturday afternoon. So all that's thanks to Softball SA Spacequake Sports, and she's just given up her time for all of that. And so we're very thankful for that.
She's got involved in the community right away, which is great to see. Jenny Dunn leading off for the Tigers. There's still time to get a wriggle on here and get back into this ball game, but Jenny Dunn is going to have to help that out by getting on base here. She's a Stars player. We thought that she would have been out for a bit of a longer term with, it was a concussion, wasn't it? We thought she was going to be out longer term than what it is now, but it's great to see her back in the lineup.
Yeah, she got hit by a pitch in batting practice, and it sort of rattled her a little. she didn't realise the effect that it was having as she played on, and then she's taken some time during the off-season to make sure that she's fully recovered for a return. You know, just the insight that we get from these players, and you know, the honesty that we get from them. I hope she doesn't mind me saying, but she's very nervous coming back because you know it's not easy to come back from something like
what
that.
a play from Lana Kaesler. A very similar pitch got through her, or hit got through her earlier. That time she got right down, and as statewide super special comment Steph Jasinski said earlier, she just got great hands.
She does. She certainly does.
Wow, what a great play, getting down low. And that, as a pitcher, you're just saying, yeah, thank you very much. How are you?
Just on the backhand as well, just nice and easy there for Lana Kaesler. But it was a line drive from Jenny Dunn, and that's all that Coach Redigan could be asking for at the moment, is just making good contact.
Bit unlucky. As a hitter, you
Yeah,
like, what do
definitely.
you do? You just, you know, tip your cap, I guess. So, Steph, are we going to be seeing you having a couple of ABs this season as well, too, potentially?
I'm not sure if I can crack into this batting lineup, to be honest. Sometimes, maybe. I hope so. We'll see how we go. I like to swing a bat here and there, but see if I still got it.
Got to get you healthy first.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the expected time frame behind this? Is it
And what is
post-Christmas,
the injury for our
pre-Christmas?
viewers at home?
Not totally sure yet either way. We're going to get it checked out next week a little bit more, and so we'll see what's happening.
Yeah, so it's in the shoulder, isn't it, somewhere up there? Or upper body injury, we'll call it?
Upper body injury, yeah. Upper body injury is right.
So Steph Jasinski out with an undisclosed upper body injury for an indeterminate amount of time.
Perfect.
Very West Torrens PR team, very secretive with the
Oh, yeah.
information they
Oh,
give
yeah.
up with their new recruit. So, and another strikeout though from Maddie Scott. That gives her 5 on the day. She keeps on racking them up.
Yeah, she's been on top of her pitching game this season, that's for sure. But I think she's probably done a little less work in the off-season, in the lead-up, because knowing that Steph was going to be playing this year, I'm sure she would have tried to focus her energy on training in the infield. I didn't see her training as much with the pitching side of things, but so she might just be fresh. She might be found another gear because she's, you know, not always worrying about it all the time, you know, taking her mind off of things for a bit and clear your mind and come back in with the renewed energy.
You always hear this from, you know, we'll talk from an ice hockey perspective. You always hear our ice hockey coach say, the best thing you can do in the off season is not go to the rink at all and just spend time away. As this is hit hard, this is over to Orr's left field, this is going back, this is going to the wall, and it drops right in front of it. Becky Havis with a monster double over the head of Jackie Beal, and a runner's in scoring position for the Tigers.
Great shot from Havis. Watch the replay here, statewide super. She got all of that one. She takes off and she's getting the finger pointing, go extra bases, and she just ambles in and stands up nice and comfortably. Great piece of the ball, way over the head of the left fielder.
That was crushed, and that's always a bad sign for a pitcher when you're just looking straight up and watching it fly as as that one goes there. But that was a big hit from Becky Havis, and they need to get something going. So a good clutch 2-out hit puts Cara Schultz with a runner in scoring position, exactly what they want. But like we were saying before, you know, the best advice was get away from the rink, get away from the sport. You're going to come back with sort of a different perspective. So I wonder, as you guys are both players, so have you ever found maybe a correlation in that where you go away from the game for a few weeks break and you come back and you're like, oh man, I'm back, baby.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I took maybe a few months off last year, and I came back and then played in the Gillies in January for my first real appearance back, and I felt great. It was probably one of my best weeks. So definitely mentally, I think, is more important to have some time off. Usually when I get injured is when I take my time off. But
Steph performed out of sight at the Gillies Shield, and that's what earned her a spot in the Aussie Spirit squad. So yeah, what would it have been? 6 months, maybe?
It had been a long time since I'd played in a game.
As this is hit over towards foul territory, Faith Picard was having a look, but it's just a bit too far away.
Yeah, I wouldn't have played in a game since about April that year, and then I maybe took maybe 4 months off where I just worked on getting my body healthy, but wasn't really into too much pitching, and then amped it up right before.
Probably like anything in life, though, really. You know, if you have too much of something, you get a bit too wound up, and it sort of gives you a bit of a reset. And this is hit over towards third. Kaesler steady across the diamond. Of course she makes that play. Lana Kaesler gets them out of a mini jam there. She's been busy, Lana, today, ever since she had that ball go through her. That was an easy play. I don't think anyone's faulting Lana for that, but she's had 3 spectacular plays since then. Good for her.
Yeah, that was a key out as well with the number 4 hitter for Seacombe, Cara Schultz, up to bat. You know, a dangerous hitter in her own right. You know, just because she's young doesn't make her any less of a threat, but she came up with a good play and made the out and stopped the threat from Seacombe, and they hold that commanding 6-run lead.
Well, Jess Maslin checking into the game, unless we missed that earlier. She's running out towards center field, I think, as well, too. So we'll hold on to Steph for 3 more outs, and then then we'll let statewide Super Steph go. Yeah, we'll see.
I might get your thoughts on the other teams. I know you've only arrived back in the country this week, but from what you may have seen, either on our coverage, thanks to Statewide Super and Spacequake Sports, and also the results that have been going our way. I mean, it's such a tight competition, as we can see. Everyone's got a point. There's 3 points separating bottom and top. There's a couple of teams that look, you know, great on sitting on top of the ladder, but any predictions for the year? Like, can you understand why it's a close competition?
I gotta say West Torrens is gonna take the title. If
West Torrens don't take it, who's it gonna be?
So who's our runner-up gonna be, you mean?
Yeah, who are you gonna beat in the grand final?
Oh, I might be picking a Steph versus Katie showdown.
Oh,
I think that'll be a good game.
Tantalizing.
Yeah, that would be a fun one to watch,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it would be a little bit of a healthy, well, we hope it'd be a healthy rivalry in the week leading up to it.
But it's also, like, I've been talking to Katie about it, and she's made the point how nice it is to be able to play for Port and play for a team that is going to go out and hit for her. Like, she's been playing on teams where she's had to go out, pitch, and hit, and she's made the point of how nice it is to have a team like Port behind her in the field, and a team that's going to come out and hit, which is so good to see because, you know, Port were struggling for some years there, but they've really, really improved, and it hasn't just been off the back of one player. Their whole team has really come out, and they've really improved over the last few years.
And they don't even have their biggest weapon in defensively yet come through. And
she's arrived, hasn't she? Is she this week?
Vicky McFarland?
Vicky
Yeah,
McFarland.
Oh boy.
Tomorrow she comes in.
Okay.
Nice.
There you go.
Can't
So yeah, their biggest defensive weapon outside of the battery, of course.
And this is hit over towards first, and just standing up there, Becky Havis makes the catch. So the first out, Alicia Marchink is retired. So yeah, Vicky McFarland's, she's got some wheels as well too. She'll probably slot in, probably in that, maybe that leadoff spot. You might put her at the top. Megan Williams, when she gets healthy, that'll be another nice bat to have in there. She hit over 300 last year. Megan Williams really developed as a hitter, so there's some really nice pieces there.
Yeah, and I know that Vicky had a very successful season in Italy this year, playing for Sestese, I believe it was, and she was doing very well over there.
What's Chelsea Cohen, right?
Yeah, with Chelsea Cohen.
How you going, Chelsea Cohen? Another legend here, a legendary import that came over. I think Walkerville's just wondering what if they had her in a couple years ago when they won the minor premiership for that playoff run, where Glenelg got all the way to the grand final before falling to Sturt. So Brody Borovnik to the plate. She's behind 2-0. So what's the quality like in Europe where you were playing?
It is.
This is hit hard up the middle, and that's going to find a hole, and Brody Borovnik is aboard with a hit.
Actually, very good. I definitely, when I got there, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. I think the first game, I was like, oh, whoa, I'm going to have to work a little hard here. But no, the competition was awesome. Because, I mean, the country is so small, so you can travel anywhere in the country. Like, everything's close, so you have all the players that are playing in your immediate competition. Here, Australia is so big that you have all your great players. A lot of them are very spread out. But in Holland, like, every week I was playing against, it felt like half the national team because they're all living in the same dang city.
Well, it's good training, I guess, for you. Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. And they have, I will say, they have very good hitters over there.
They do good tournaments as well. You played in the European Cup for a Czech team?
I did play in the European Cup for a Czech team.
Jordan Lambert swings at this one. This is a mile high in the air, and Courtney Munro makes the hit. She just missed that slightly, Jordy. She had the pitch she wanted.
Just off it.
So no, I played for Yolders, a Czech team out of Prague, which I had an absolute ball with. We came in third place at the European Cup and got to play against some really incredible teams out there too. So, had a lot of fun.
Faith Picard, she's been on twice. She scored twice in this 6-0 game. She steps in. That's probably what you want from your first two batters. The first two times they were up, they both scored twice. Just as Andrew Scott's drawn it up, I guess.
That's why you picked in the top of the order, not only to get on base, but to score runs. You're generally a quick runner as well.
And Faith Picard will step in here, 3 at-bats in 3 innings, so they are turning the lineup order over quite a bit. Pretty important out here. If they can get through one score-free here, that will set them up to maybe try to rally something. And it also just allows them not having to face Lana Kaesler with anyone on base. Or
yeah, keep out at the plate, or potential out at the plate for Seacombe Tigers. They would be desperate to get this out because they don't want to give up another error or another walk, and then that runner turns into a run, and then they're into mercy territory.
So it's a 3-0 count here at the bottom of the 3rd. An hour into the game, so it's not as quick-moving game as we've seen in the past, but it happens as Faith Picard gets on base for the 3rd time today. Well done to Faith.
Yeah, Faith has added another aspect to her game in this off-season. She was away with the Junior Aussie squad at the Friendship Series. She came back a left-handed slap hitter, so we saw her in the left-handed batter's box in her second turn at bat, but back in the right-handed batter's box for a walk. Runners on first and second now for the Eagles.
Lana Kaesler, runner on first, runner on second. She scored today already, and she has a chance to really put the nail in the coffin. You'd think an hour into the game, already up 6 runs if she can drive home another one here.
Hasn't she settled after an early strikeout and that error that went through her legs?
Oh, and then she crushed the ball, and she's made a few nice defensive plays. Would you bet on anyone except Lana?
Well, she's just talent. That's her game. And you know what? Probably unfairly, it's just expected of her to be playing at a high level.
So a 1-1 count as we approach the hour mark. This one just a little bit up high, and this is where it gets a bit dicey because Sophie Hoyle struck out with the bases loaded the last time up. You put on Lana Kaesler by virtue of a walk. Sophie Hoyle, you probably don't like your chances getting her out twice on the strikeout. And she'd come back with a vengeance. She'll be not sleeping for striking out with bases loaded, Sophie. She takes that stuff personally as this one just outside, so a 3-run count. So as a pitcher here, Steph, 3-run count. Sophie at the plate, you throwing a strike, or you just being a bit cagey here, or what are you doing at this stage, knowing how good of a hitter Lana is as well too?
I mean, you got to throw a strike. You can't take that kind of risk with anyone, I think, in this lineup at this stage. And you got runners on 1 and 2. So any kind of ground ball, you're going to get an out somewhere. Ground ball to third, all she has to do is touch her base. With that said, I really want Lana to smoke a double to center left.
Coach Radigan.
West Torrens bias.
Yeah, of course. Coach Radigan be wanting that from his pitcher as well. Be aggressive at this hitter and back his pitcher to be able to beat the batter.
We'll see what happens here. It's a full count, 2 outs. Runners will be going. Lana Kaesler with a big chance to really bust it open. She swings at this one. It's just blooped in the air. Havis moves over, and it just goes through her glove. A chance to end the inning. It's just going to go down as a foul ball, so they give Lana Kaesler another opportunity.
Yeah, that's one batter in the lineup that you don't want to give it a second chance to. Actually, all the batters in the West Torrens lineup.
Kaesler, Hoyle, Allen, and Nucky. Scary. Got to think of a nickname for it. You know, the Toronto Blue Jays had Whamco with, you know, White, Alomar, Molitor, Carter, and Olerud. Worked out nicely as Kaesler crushes this one. This is going to hit the wall. Just as statewide super Steph called, it's a double. Could it be a triple to the wall? Kaesler slides in there, and it's a 2 RBI triple on some second life from Lana Kaesler.
You really made the Seacombe Tigers pay on that one there. She's absolutely smashed that one into the statewide super fence. Let's watch the statewide super replay as the ball just driven into deep center field. Just Maslin won't be able to stop that one from hitting the fence, and then gets the ball in pretty quickly, but the throw just offline.
And that was exactly how statewide super Steph drew it up. So a triple, that's the second one of the day, is this hit away there, but they have made, that's now, I guess that'd be 5 runs that I've counting here that have just come off of mistakes that West Torrens have made them pay for.
Yeah, sign of a quality team as well, and unfortunately for the inexperienced Tigers, any mistake has been costly today, and it doesn't seem fair, but at the same time, it just shows the quality of the Eagles.
Yeah, it's like they're waiting for you just to make a mistake so they can pounce on it, West Torrens. And they've done this not just against, you know, Seacombe, but they did this against Walkerville in those first 2 innings. They just pounced on any opportunity that Walkerville gave them. Well, West Torrens was all over it.
And on Wednesday night against the Falcons.
And that's the sign. You're right. It's a sign of a good team. They just stay patient, and then they pick their spots when they need here. So I don't think they're short in confidence. Sophie Hoyle struck out the last time. It's a 2-1 count here. She has a runner on third. It's an 8-0 game.
We're going to say goodbye to Steph after this inning, but
yeah.
Steph, what's your role with this team and this club until you come back from injury?
I'm just trying to do as much as I can to help out, the juniors, and be there for the team as much as I can in any kind of way, shape, or form. Like, you'll still see me out at all their practices doing as much as I can, even though if I'm not there playing, I still want to be there as support and do whatever I can to help out. I love helping out juniors and giving a lot of pitching lessons, so I'm sure I'll help out very much in that front.
Well, that's where I was going with this. Steph gives up her time very generously as a pitching coach as well. So do you want to
as a commentator?
Do you want to give your little side business a bit of a plug there? You're available for pitching, coaching,
yeah.
and
yes, I'm home now, and I love giving pitching lessons to there's a lot of girls out here that every time I come out to softball, I have to go to every single field at the time. I'm like, I need to see her pitch. Oh no.
As you
swallowed a fly. So we got runners on the corner as statewide super Steph gathers herself. She's getting emotional watching the Eagles. They're just a wagon right now, and she's aboard.
Yeah, just absolutely damaging all throughout the lineup, and defensively just so solid. So we're all recovered now, Steph? No. So just a timeout called. It looks like a change, and you hit it to her for a first at bat for the Eagles. Alice Prokopek.
Yeah, Alice Prokopek getting an at-bat here for Carly Allen. So that means that we'll probably have a new catcher as well.
Well, it could be a pinch hit, but this is Alice's first turn at bat for West Torrens against her old club, the Tigers.
And she swings at the first pitch. She had a pretty good B-grade game on Tuesday night. She reached every time she was up to bat, which is a promising sign. And this is against her former team. So Alice, she's a competitive person. She'll be wanting to get that base hit against the team that she was with last year, against a young pitcher that she was teammates with last year in Arrow Munro. So it's the Prokopek-Munro battle here, and Alice watches this one go outside. So it's a 2-1 count. She looks dialed in.
Yeah, Alice was known in the Seacombe lineup as the experienced player that they probably all lent on a little bit to come up with that hit when it was needed, and this is the time of the game that she would be thriving on.
Just outside again, she's staying very patient, and it's a straight steal from Sophie Hoyle, so 2 runners in scoring position. Can she stretch the lead to double digits? A base hit you think would do that from Alice Prokopek.
I just saw Coach Scott throw his hands in the air asking what she's doing there. 8 runs up in the 3rd inning. Probably not the sportsmanship that you'd like to see out there, but I'm sure Coach Scott will have a word with Sophie Hoyle about that one.
Yeah. Well, she's, I imagine sometimes it's hard to turn off that competitive nature as well, too, when it's a bit of instincts. But yeah, you're right, you're up 8-0 here.
Steph's all right to go again.
Steph is still with us. We were a bit worried. It was touch and go for a moment there, but Steph is still here as Prokopek swings through that one. And so that's the 2nd strike, so it's a full count. Both the runners will be going here, 2 outs. 8-0 game. They put up 3 in each of their innings so far. Can Alice Prokopek get it done this time here? Full count. Munro versus Prokopek.
Good piece of the ball here would really break the game. Out of reach for the Tigers.
She swings at this one, just chopped foul. She got a piece of it, just not quite of a drive enough through there. So West Torrens are rolling through teams right now. At this stage, they've through 2.5 games. They've outscored opponents 23-4. Look out. Hey, hi, how are ya? Here's the pitch, just outside. So for the second time today, Kelsey Nucky's gonna come up with the bases loaded. Alice, a very patient batter, and Kelsey Nucky, she's been on base twice. She had a 2 RBI double, and she had a walk earlier. She's sitting right exactly. This is, look, they've got 5 such great hitters right before Kelsey. Kelsey must be loving this, walking up and saying, "Oh, yeah, sweet. You on base, you on base, you on base. I can get a hit here." She'd be loving that.
Yeah, batting 6 in this lineup is
not a bad place.
It's not a bad place, because you know you're going to have runners ahead of you, RBI opportunities, and having a contribution in this team is what she'll be thriving on. She's a team player through and through, and that's what saw her climb so high in the votes last season.
James, she's got on base twice, and she's had a 2 RBI double and a very well-balanced attack. I'm looking through this. If she gets on here, is she a candidate for the statewide super player of the game?
Still got 20 minutes to go, but you've got to say yes. I mean, there's probably a handful of girls in the West Torrens lineup that would be in contention, but Kelsey Nucky's one of the leaders.
She's
sure.
a little camera shy, though. Do you think if she just heard that, she'd be like, "I'm going to strike out right now," just so I don't have to... Yeah, she will absolutely refuse an interview there. Maddie Scott might be a candidate as well, too. She's shut down a Seacombe lineup that's had a couple big ins, and she's got on base once as well, too. Lana Kaesler had the triple and some defensive plays. She'd be up there as well, too.
Card scored 3 times.
Steph, what do you think? A couple candidates for a statewide super player of the game so far? It's tough to pick, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, as a pitcher, I can't go past a pitcher throwing a shutout game, you know? I mean, if you can keep the other team to 0 runs, and it's such a phenomenal thing. Exactly, right? I think that's pretty phenomenal.
Bit of pitcher bias there. It's behind every good pitcher is an excellent catcher.
Okay.
Well, Kelsey Nucky has the bases loaded, 2-2 count. Let's see what she can do. Up high, so it's a full count. They are just so tough to get through, this Eagles team. My goodness.
Yeah, all good aggressive hitters, but they're all very patient with the pitch selection as well. So great sign of a good hitting lineup. Being able to go deep in the count, make the pitcher throw a lot of pitches. Runners will be going.
What she does here, and she swings through that one, so a big pitch there from Arrowa Munro, so it is an 8-0 game. Steph, thank you so much for joining us through the 3 innings. It was a long 3 innings, we went 70 minutes there. But
sorry about my little coughing.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, you did. You're still here though, so Steph, thank you so much for joining us, and we really hope that you have a speedy recovery and you're back out here sooner than we all imagine, I guess.
I hope so too.
Thanks for joining us, Steph.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So statewide super special comments from Steph Trzynski. James, it is an 8-0 ball game. It is, the mercy rule is 10 runs after 4, isn't it?
Yeah, 15 after 3.
So yeah, so they're still not in the mercy
4.
rule territory yet. So West Torrens at this stage will bat again unless this inning just goes for like 10 minutes or so. Then they might just say, yeah, well.
Well, you never know, they might run out of time as well, because they've been having the long batting innings. We see Prokopek stays in the game and heads out to right field. Picard comes in to catch. No other changes through the field there. And, you know, Seacombe haven't scored in a couple of games now, so they'll be desperate to get runners on. They'll be desperate to advance them, and they'll be desperate to score. You know, they just really need to break this cycle that they're in at the moment, and you know, for a team that has got such talent coming through, like the inexperience, you just really hope for them that they'll be able to put something on the board, give them some hope, because
I hope so too.
They're not a terrible team. They're just not polished enough at the moment. The young inexperienced team, they're just going to keep developing, and sometimes taking a beating is not a bad thing, as long as you're able to bounce back, and, and that's what we want to see from this young Tigers outfit.
You're absolutely right. They're not a terrible team. They've got some of the best young players coming through. Like you said, there's a couple mistakes that you just got to tighten up a little bit to keep yourself in ball games where instead of 8-0 it could be 4-0 and you're in with a sniff, and that's a big difference as well. But
yeah, one big innings and you're right back in the game.
Exactly, and you sort of play yourself out with those mistakes, but that is the sign of a young team. On the other hand, look what they've had to go through in the last week. Last Saturday, they had to face one of the best pitching performances we will see in this state ever. That was absolutely phenomenal from Katie Sutherland Finch, and sometimes you just have to tip your hat to an opponent who has her day, and they're going against just an absolute ruthless lineup right here, and the team that is pretty much the consensus favorite in the competition. And just a couple little mistakes, you take away the last 2 games, and they're right in it. So the scores are not really indicating the level of play that they're playing at all. I feel sort of unfair having to say it's 9-0 and 8-0 because it really hasn't been a 9-0 and 8-0 game, has it?
No, the two teams always compete in a game. I mean, I know I'm stating the obvious, and anything can happen on the day, but they've just run into some absolute talent in the last 2 games. So it's probably the draw hasn't worked out in their favour. They will continue to grow throughout the season. So, I mean, the next time they play each other, you might see a completely different result.
And the 6th strikeout of the day from Maddie Scott. She is probably making a good case here with 6 strikeouts through 4 innings to a statewide super player of the game. As Steph made a compelling point. If you don't allow any runs on the board, I mean, it doesn't matter if you score 8, 9, 1, or 15 runs.
Well, I'm certain that Katie Sutherland Finch would have got the votes from the umpires last Saturday, but yeah, Maddie Scott does her own fielding there, so just strengthens her argument for the player of the game.
And that time she did the easy one and just throw it over to first instead of zipping it over to third. But yeah, quick 1-2 out there, and Courtney Munro comes to bat. And if she can get this out,
got a hit last time.
She did, yeah. She's got the 1 of 2 hits unless the infield one was scored as a single. Courtney Munro hits this one in the air. She puts it in play once again. Backtracking is Sophie Hoyle. That was a very quick inning. My goodness. A fly out to Hoyle. So a 1-2-3 inning for Maddie Scott. She has almost gone. She's allowed a base runner in every inning except for that one, but she struck out 6. And we head back to the Seacombe side where Maddie Scott will be leading off the inning as well, too. And they're just 2 runs away from ending it.
Yeah. So they've got an opportunity to end the game early, although the game has gone about 70 minutes and 2 runs away. So as they come to the bottom of their lineup, it'll be the top half of the lineup. You think that might be able to do the damage and end the game quickly, but change for the Tigers. We might come to that in a moment. So while there is a change in process, let's look at the other games today. Walkerville have the bye. They've played 4 games with a 2-2 record. You've got Sturt versus the Hills. So Georgia Hood would be the key player in that game, you think?
And Maddie Cameron, who's on fire right now.
Yeah, that's right. As you mentioned, got the only hit against Katie Sutherland Finch so far this season. So she's going to be one of the batters that Hills will be watching, that's for sure. The other game is the Glenelg Rebels versus Port Adelaide Magpies. So Glenelg, who had a draw against Hills in one of their 2 games that they played, but then they only went down by 1 run against Sturt last weekend, and that was off a squeeze play to win the game by Sturt.
Yeah, Glenelg's been very competitive as well, too, and it's good to see all the teams have a point. It'll be interesting to see how they handle Katie Sutherland Finch, but there's still a couple good hitters on that team as well, and they've got an import pitcher. So there's a battle of the imports on the mound coming up.
Yep, Barbara Skopova from the Czech Republic throwing for Glenelg, and they've also got a New Zealand player who's come across the ditch to have a game, so that'll strengthen their infield as well. They're another team with a young infield. Glenelg, we will see them play in a couple of weeks' time, I think, here on statewide super action. However, I'm keen to see them play because I haven't seen either of them on the diamond as yet this season.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one to watch. Port Adelaide Glenelg, that's at 6 o'clock. If you're down in the West Beach area, you want to get down here. It's a nice day when you're in the sun down here, a little chilly when you're in the shade across South Australia today. Maddie Scott, she struck out so far, one of the at-bats, and she reached on a walk in her first at-bat. She's been humming along on the mound today.
Another one of our great team of volunteers within this sport is our statisticians, led by Lindy Radigan, our state coordinator of scoring. She's just pointed out the change. It's Jess Maslin has come in from centre field to catch with a straight swap with Peyton Daniels, who's moved out to the outfield. So hopefully Coach Radigan looking for a little bit more experience, perhaps calling a little bit more inside outside, maybe even changing up the pace a little bit. We haven't seen any change-ups from Munro as yet. We've just seen her trying to gas the ball in, so maybe even a direction from Coach Radigan here.
Those 2 p.m. starts are killing Jess Maslin right now. I'm sure she'll be anxious for that 4 and 6 p.m. start to make sure from work, and all these girls have jobs as well too, to get from work to, you know, the field right for that first pitch will be very helpful as well too.
They've got another 2 o'clock game next Saturday,
oh,
so
no.
on Spacequake Sports Action you'll see Seacombe play Glenelg. We haven't seen Glenelg as yet. Maslin tries to frame that one up, so you know, maybe even if she looks at the work roster, I'm sure the coach will be asking her to consider it, because she's one of the leaders of this Tigers team that would be looked at by all these other young players as a leader.
Well, let's see what Alicia Marchink can do here. As of yet, she's had that big hit in the grand final last year. Very capable player. Most of the time, you can say this about 4 or 5 of the girls in a lineup, just because that's the way softball works. But right now, she's the only one that hasn't reached base yet this game. 8 of 9 players have made there. Let's see if she can get on base here. And she swings at this one. She hits this one hard. This is going out to the outfield. Will it drop? And a nice catch taken out in right field. So unlucky for there. Marchink gives it her absolute best crack at that one. That was a pretty good hit there. Just at the wrong spot, I suppose.
Good piece of the ball as we watch the statewide super replay. Munro wasn't even in the screen until right at the last minute. So she's done well to break across to her right to make the catch. So that's a good play and a key play as well, because remember we're playing with 2 runs here. So 2 runs will end the game for the Eagles. So a key out. Tigers didn't want that lead-off walk though. I think Munro's probably done a few of those so far this season that have all turned into runs. So.
And Brody Borovnik hits this hard, goes off of Schultz, runner safe at second, and Borovnik hits that one hard. She's on base for the 2nd time today. I'll tell you what, Brody Borovnik's turning into a nice little player.
Yeah, a couple of hits on Wednesday night as well, so she's a handy 9-hitter.
Unbelievable.
The ball's just come off the end of the bat and here, and so shortstop Cara Schultz didn't get a good read on it. It just bobbled in front of her. She did well to block it, but wasn't able to stop either runner advancing. Well, reaching safely, Borovnik and Maddie Scott advancing.
How much would someone like Jordan Lambert love seeing that the person hitting in the 9-hole is getting on base for?
Yes, well, we do comment on Lambert being the complete player, but one of the categories she's been low on is RBI, so that gives her an extra opportunity and another string to her bow.
Well, she has an opportunity to end it here with a big base hit. That would require some great base running for Brody Borovnik over at first base as well, but runner on first, runner on second, 2-0 game, or an 8-0 game, and it's a 2-0 count, sorry, is staying patient even late in the game. The approach really hasn't changed for the Eagles at all, has it?
No, they've been aggressive from the get-go, and I don't see it stopping now.
Well, 3-0 count. Faith Picard standing there. You know what? Faith Picard's another candidate for statewide super player of the game.
Yeah, is that 2 walks that she's had?
2 walks. She's scored. She had a hit in 2 walks. She's played.
No, that first one wasn't a walk. She got called back, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It wasn't a walk, but then she ended up having a big RBI single in the hit, so she's 2 for 3. She's had a big day as the bases are loaded once again for the Eagles, and Faith Picard will come up. It's between, I'm going to be honest, James, at this stage, I am down to Faith Picard, Lana Kaesler, and Maddie Scott as my statewide super selections for player of the game. It's tough to choose one, though, because there hasn't really been a standout in the respect that there's been one player above everybody else. It's just a balanced team.
Yeah, well, if Picard can get a good piece of the ball here, you know, that might just tip the scales in her favour.
She could reach 4 from 4 and play 2 different positions. Why not?
Yeah.
So Faith Picard has a chance to end the ball game with a base hit here. Bases loaded, 0-1 count. Picard watches that one zip over the plate, so it's an 0-2 count. You know, there has been 2 bases loaded strikeouts already in this game from 3 bases loaded strikeouts, actually, from Munro, 1 each inning. So she has got a couple clutch strikeouts to limit the damage. That's a great sign from the young pitcher. And this is just chop foul.
Yeah, she's just got so much heart, and you know the kid just doesn't stop trying, and she's not the type of player that lets anything phase her as well. You know, she can just stay on her game and just keep plugging away. Now, you know, a lot of pitchers might be disheartened with an 8-0, but you know, you look at her, she's still fighting away and she's still trying to do her best for her team.
And another bases loaded strikeout. That's 4 in the game for Arawa Munro today.
We're going to see a hitter, and it's Amy Wheeler going to come in. So let's watch this one on the statewide super replay, and it's definitely there on the knee. Crosses at the knees, and
yeah, she knows it too.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
All right, so I think you've jinxed couple of players now talking about statewide super player of the game, and Kelsey Nucky struck out last inning, Faith Picard struck out this inning. Maybe we have to go with the pitcher.
We might have to. We'll see. Maybe Amy Wheeler. First at bat here, grand slam.
Wow. A one-pitch effort
would be incredible. To end it as well too. So, but we are getting close to that 85-minute mark as well, which has no new innings after that stretch. So a base hit would probably push you over that time. A base hit also probably puts them to 10. A quick out. We're playing another inning. So we're right on that edge there, late in the ball game. Amy Wheeler getting a look. Coach Andrew Scott going to his bench in this one, making sure everybody gets at bat and a crack here. Zips up high, bases loaded. Maddie Scott at third, the clinching run. Brody Borownik standing at second.
Yeah, the match-ending run at second, but if they can make this third out, they might even get one more chance to have a turn at bat, but we'll see.
And that drops in for a strike, so Munro coming back with a big one there.
Yeah, just 15 years of age. It's hard to imagine.
What were you doing at 15?
Yeah, not playing. Well, I was going to say not playing A-grade women's, but.
There's the pitch outside. 3-1 count. So here's a big pitch right here. You'd think she's going to get a strike. Amy Wheeler going to get one to hit. You would think 3-1 count. 8-0.
She hasn't taken the bat off her shoulder yet, so she's been patient. She's seen a few pitches.
And that walks in a run. So it is a 9-0 game. Runner, Maddie Scott, scores for the first time today. And it's a walk from Wheeler. And that puts Sophie Hoyle, who has bases loaded for the second time today. She struck out her first time with bases loaded.
Well, we're about the time as well, so this will probably be the last batter regardless.
And she swings at the first pitch. This one high in the air. Is it playable? It is. That's the out, so they only allow one that inning. Let's see what the umpires do if they call time. And they've called time, so the West Torrens Eagles cruise to a 9-0 victory. James, they're just looking really impressive.
Yeah, West Torrens definitely had things their own way that game. They took full toll of a few mistakes from the Seacombe Tigers. I think that walk for Wheeler as well might have been a little too close to leave, but so they maybe got a little bit of help there from on that last one. However, 9-0, it really that, you know, some of the players in the games put in. Araha Munro, one of those, but look, I can wrap this up for you if you want to go.
I'll go grab the statewide super player of the game. It's going to be Maddie Scott.
Yeah, so Maddie Scott, absolutely great performance by the young pitcher for the West Torrens Eagles. Can you still hear me, David? We've just had a technical difficulty there, but it was the West Torrens Eagles running out victors 9 runs to nothing. And stay tuned because we're going to bring you the statewide Super Player of the Game with Maddie Scott.
Down here with our statewide Super Player of the Game after 9-0 win with the shutout pitcher, Maddie Scott. A big 9-0 win, 6 strikeouts from you. Maddie, I got to ask, because last year you were averaging 3-4 strikeouts a game. This year they're going way up. You had a big double-digit strikeout performance. Last game, I think, 6 in this one. What's the difference between you from last and this year?
I think the break's been pretty good, to be honest. I haven't really stopped pitching since the off-season, but I don't know, it's just
very good. Pretty focused out there as well too. Now, Steph Trzynski actually picked you as the statewide Super Player of the Game right from the beginning. She knew you'd be fine. What's it like? I know she just got here, but having another experienced pitcher like Steph on the team this year.
Well, she's actually my pitching coach, so it's really good to have her back. So I'm just
And a couple nice defensive plays again from the field from West Torrens. What's that like with that behind you?
It's very good. Good to have a good, strong team. I feel more confident when I pitch.
And sitting down in the 7-hole batting with a stack of stacked players in front of you, you had a couple opportunities with runners on. That's got to be fun knowing that you're always going to have someone there.
Yeah, it's very good. It helps me out in the pitching round.
And the last question for you, new coach on the team this year. Tell us about who he is and what he's been bringing to the team.
Andrew Scott is my dad. And I don't know, just very confident, knows what he's doing, I guess.
Fun playing for your dad?
Yeah.
All right. Good. Well, Maddie, thanks for joining us. Very good game again. Whoa. Very good game again. 6 strikeouts from you and a shutout performance. Congratulations, Maddie. And you can catch us back here on Wednesday night with more softball action. We'll see you then.
Great pass. What a catch!
My goodness.
What an amazing catch from Vicky McFarlane.
Highlight reel. Never say yes to the jest. That was fantastic. Seacombe making a push for home. Misses 400 herself.
13 strikeouts for Gabby Snyder and one of the best pitching performances we've seen this season.
One and a fantastic grab by Emma Burridge. Climbs the ladder and brings it this up the middle. That's going to score a run. Bruins score 2. Deep to left field. This is back, and this one is gone. It's magic.